To be or not to be? That is a question Hamlet asks. But there's one more question out there that floats around in Hamlet. To be mad or let thy madness consume you? That is the real question. So what does madness even mean? Well, according to Alex and Whitney on Play Shakespeare, the term madness has been used to describe various moments of distress, characters acting irrationally, or contradict conventionality. They also know that Shakespeare's time, the Elizabethan era, madness was most closely linked to its dictionary definition, the state of being mentally ill, frenzied, or chaotic activity, or foolish behavior. Many of Shakespeare's plays deal a lot with the human psyche and such madness. From Ophelia's potential game over, not gonna say that word on YouTube, to some of the most out-of-pocket love-at-first-sight encounters that you see in As You Like It. Hamlet in particular seems to deal a lot with human psychology. Hamlet's depression and Claudius's guilt are two of the main psychological battles we see in Hamlet. Don't get me wrong though, we also see Ophelia deal with her own psychological battles, like her grief of having Hamlet play with her love and losing her father. And let's not even start with Gertrude's guilt of marrying her brother-in-law just 2 months after her husband died. That's a whole nother can of worms. First and foremost, we have to address the elephant in the room. Did Hamlet, Horatio, and the Centennial see the ghosts? From there, we can say from the get-go that, everyone's a little bit mad. However, some people interpret that ghosts can be visibly seen by people, and it's acknowledged a thing in the Hamlet universe, so it depends by play. Ghosts can be seen as an ill omen depending on their condition. The king looks decrepit, rotting, and something out of a horror movie? Yeah, the country is pretty much doomed. After Claudius finishes talking to Loretz in Act 1, Scene 2, he looks over to Hamlet asking, "How is it the clouds still hang on you?" Mind you, this is the man that married a sister-in-law not even 2 months after his brother's death. You'd think he'd had this all planned out, right? Of course, Hamlet is depressed and distraught. The guy's dad is dead, not to mention his uncle's now his dad. Not exactly a happy camper about the whole ordeal, since he thinks his uncle's taking what's rightfully his. Plus, his mother seems more than happy to remarry and quickly keeps telling him to move on despite his feeling of depressed. The guy needs a hug, maybe some therapy, not someone harking over him to get over it. Now things really begin to pick up later in Act 1, Scene 2, where Horatio tells Hamlet about seeing the king. Hamlet jumps on the idea of seeing his dad after so long, and also the Centennial seeing the ghost. Looks like Daddy Dearest has seen better days, though. It's an ill omen for Denmark based on his appearance. So in Act 1, Scene 4, they go ghost hunting for good old Dad. Probably should have called Ghostbusters. Horatio and Marcellus beg and plead Hamlet to not go with the ghost. They don't know what kind of ill omen and what swift end he might encounter, but with how mentally worn Hamlet is, with all the chaos going on in the court and his own family, let's say living is the least of his worries right now. Hamlet talks to his dad and hears about how his oh-so-sweet uncle put poison in his dad's ear and swears to take revenge. Though, the question if Hamlet actually heard his dad tell him all this or just needed a reason to justify the foul play his uncle made to take the throne under him is a thing, well, we don't know. I think one of the side characters we see kind of act irrationally is Polonius. We know he really dislikes his daughter Ophelia being with Hamlet, but he's so caught up with kissing the higher-ups, he uses his own daughter to bring Hamlet down and mock him, claiming he's mad because he told Ophelia to avoid him, then goes right around and make her accept him. Mind you, this does not go well later on. Hamlet also decides to concoct his own plan to make sure his uncle is the one who killed his father by using some of the people who are performing. He makes them enact a play called Mousetrap and makes sure to leave some juicy hints for his little uncle to pick up on. In Act 3, Scene 1, Hamlet denies loving Ophelia, acting cold and harsh towards her, even telling her to get thee to a nunnery.
To a nunnery, go! Get thee to a nunnery. To a nunnery! Go!
Get thee to a nunnery.
Get thee to a nunnery.
Get thee to a nunnery. To a nunnery.
Get thee to a nunnery.
Get thee to a nunnery, and quickly too. Farewell!
Well then, those were truly groundbreaking words for poor Ophelia. Those were some of the first few words that probably made her crack in this play. Hey there, Future Max here. One thing I wanted to note that I completely forgot in the original video was that nunnery could mean one of two things. The first one being literally a monastery, so telling Ophelia to get thee to a nunnery could be going to a monastery, possibly going to get salvation or whatnot. The second one could be a brothel, basically insulting her more. Take it as you will. Each one would have its own interpretation. If he means telling her to get thee to a nunnery as in a brothel, he is technically defaming her and trying to piss her off to stop pursuing him and basically making sure that she doesn't get involved with him anymore. The second one could be the nunnery being a salvation center or church of some sort, basically telling her to get away, seek salvation, and never come back. Either way, it could be one of two things when he tells her this. Basically telling her to, you know, piss off, go somewhere else, making her upset to purposely deter her from him. And the second one, obviously, could be like a metaphor, telling her to go get salvation and get away from all this madness that's been going around. You know, maybe Hamlet of the day really does care about her. We never know. It's all up to interpretation. I like to think Act 2, Scene 3 is where the true chaos in Hamlet begins, and all the masks technically and metaphorically come off, even if some of the people seem to think that they're still fine. Some of the people are wearing double masks in this instant, others are practically cracking. This is also the main scene where Hamlet and Claudius kind of begin this psychological battle with one another, though it may not look like it at first. Gertrude also gets caught in the crossfire. The king in the mousetrap gets killed the exact same way Hamlet's father got killed by Claudius. And the woman in the play also moves on from her husband, clearly mocking Claudius and Gertrude. After the scene of the death, Claudius makes a face and Horatio tells Hamlet clearly what he saw. Whether it was guilt or remorse, it's up for interpretation, but clearly he felt something. Hamlet after that decides, okay, this is where we have to confront our uncle. And this is Denmark's true tragedy. Act 3, Scenes 3 and 4, we have Polonius tell Claudius that Hamlet wants to go see his mom, and Claudius tells him to go protect Gertrude. He hides behind the curtain in the dressing room while Hamlet goes off on his mom for remarrying his father's brother not even a month after his death, and he sullied her bed with unspeakable things. Not something you want to hear from your son, of course. Though talking to her and seeing his father's ghost, telling him to leave his mother alone. Gertrude tries to leave and Hamlet says no, and she cries for help, which makes in return Polonius cry out as well, and, well, let's just say Julius Caesar wasn't the only one getting stabbed. After being a shish kebab due to Hamlet, Hamlet drags Polonius' body out of her dressing room, really making one question if he really is becoming insane despite only acting at first, especially when Rosencrantz and Guildenstern ask him where he hid Polonius. His only answer? Compound and dust, before making fun of them for being Claudius's grunts. Who needs friends like them, am I right? In Act 4, Scene 3, Claudius starts asking Hamlet where Polonius is, and his only answer is saying that he's at supper, and when he asks what he's eating, Hamlet cheekily replies that he's not the one eating and he's in heaven. But if people of Elsinore find him and smell him within a month, well, he won't be in heaven now, will he? That makes Claudius pretty angry, Hamlet being a smart mouth, and he doesn't like it since he's pretty prideful. That marks 2 for Hamlet and 0 for Claudius in this battle of wits and outsmarting. Act 4, Scene 5, Gertrude starts avoiding Ophelia because she's mad. This shows that compared to Hamlet, despite being called mad, it shows that Hamlet is seen as mad, but not perceived as mad like Ophelia is. She's much more fragile than Hamlet to fake madness, and it has consumed her, unlike Hamlet, who's pretending to be mad. Whether he's truly mad at the end of the play is up for interpretation. As Ophelia's madness shows, she's singing about love, a man who is dead and gone, how he's perceived as mad, though it's kind of ironic since she's the one truly going mad. That even Claudius remarks that she is poisoned by grief from the loss of her father and love of Hamlet. Near the end of Act 5, Scene 5, this is where the scheming and descent into chaos truly begins. Claudius almost gets attacked by Laertes and implies that Hamlet is the one that killed his father, but also tries to fuse him from killing his father since he already has a plan to have Hamlet killed on the way. Should have made a backup plan to make sure it was done and over with. Then again, Hamlet's using the seal to forge the letter his friends had, and has Rosencrantz and Guildenstern dead. Hamlet 3, Claudius 0. Another thing to note is the flowers Ophelia has in this scene are pretty paradoxical. Rosemary's for mourning, pansies for remembrance, fennel for sorrow, columbines for affectionate lovers, daisies for innocence and fertility, and her mention of lack of violet signifies that there's no modesty nor care for social norms. The bouquet is contradictory as her mental state of mind, as she changed so much to survive in society by listening to the men in her life, yet that now has all been thrown without a care in the world about society since she's been driven mad. In Act 4, Scene 7, Claudius manipulates Laertes and the people in the court believing that he is innocent and wise, as he downplays that he can't really kill Hamlet, as Gertrude and the common people like him. He uses this manipulative tactic to make others believe him to have empathy, when in reality he's pretty far from having any of it. Plus, with Hamlet escaping his little plan of having him killed on the way to England, that only results in the death of Guildenstern and Rosencrantz. Yeah, Claudius might very wounded in his ego. So he concocts a plan with Laertes to make him duel Hamlet and hit him with a rapier that's dipped in poison to end him. And he'll have a cup of wine with poison for him to finish a job if the rapier fails to take him down. Nothing like giving people the double whammy for good measure, right? Should have done that sooner. Later in the same act, Gertrude announces that Ophelia has died. She was drowned and covered in fantastic garlands and garments, dying a muddy death, as she had tried to tie wreaths on a tree to mourn her father, but ended up falling into the water and drowned. Depending on whether you believe Ophelia let herself drown or not, I believe both sides can agree that this could metaphorically represent her drowning in her own emotions at the very least. The pressure of her having to be in these ideal standards of men in society, only to have the ones who guided her pass away, and the man she loved toy with her emotions, not to mention be the very same man that dealt the blow to her father. Yeah, it's no wonder she drowned in grief. Ophelia's death is also a parallel to Hamlet. If you firmly believe that Ophelia let herself drown, you can say that Ophelia was more committed to letting herself take action and end things of her own volition, while Hamlet's reckless with his own life, but never proactively doing anything in making himself end. Instead, he throws himself into situations where his life is in danger, while Ophelia, well, it was just a coincidence that the branch snapped and she plummeted into the water. She was tired of the social norms that told her one thing or another and let it happen, while Hamlet wouldn't even dare let himself take his own life as he doesn't want to break the laws of God. In Act 5, Scene 1, we have gravediggers that question the very thing of Ophelia's passing being intentional or not, all the while showing their own madness and instability of reality. They joke about getting drinks while digging graves, they gossip about the things they do, and they even sing. These are odd things that even Hamlet questions just how reckless and insane they are as they toss the skull without a care. And Hamlet finds it disrespectful as it's the Scroll of York. A prominent man who was a jester and was once a great man, as Hamlet's words say. Hamlet here kind of puts into perspective of what he thinks about life. How people come, how people go, the achievements they leave behind and ultimately get forgotten. How people are full of life and when they die are nothing but decay. As everything, physically and emotionally, they vanish. The gravediggers do verbal gymnastics with Hamlet saying things like, "The Prince of England went to recover his wits, while the Prince lost his wits here in Denmark," which foreshadows what will happen at the end of the play. Later on in the scene, Hamlet realizes that Ophelia's funeral is taking place, and Laertes jumps into the grave. Both Hamlet and Laertes go on a fight, mourning who mourns Ophelia more. This really shows that both aren't prepared for loss, and the reality of death still looms over. Even though it's pretty ironic since they both crave the death of someone, Hamlet craves for the death of his uncle, and Laertes really craves the death for Hamlet since he lost both of his father and his sister. Act 4, Scene 2 is the final scene in the play. Hamlet and Laertes get ready to square up. Claudius announces that he will give wine to the winner, and we know it's poison since it has a cute little deadly pearl in it. Not something you want to add to that pearl necklace of yours. As a duel ensues, Hamlet ends up getting hit by Laertes. Keep this in mind in a bit as Hamlet ends up winning. Claudius then offers the wine to Hamlet, but knowing his uncle is trying to scheme things, he rejects. Though Gertrude also tries to convince him, but once again gets shut down, and she ends up drinking the wine. There's also some renditions where Gertrude drank this wine willingly, knowing that it was poison, so it can be concluded that she broke some cycle of madness for a while. Had she not drunk the wine herself? It also speaks volumes that Claudius didn't even try to stop Gertrude, or force her to upchuck the wine or something. At this point, all he wants to do is get back at Hamlet and get rid of him, but also doesn't want people to assume the worst of him by telling her that there was poison in the wine. Remember, the man has the ego of the Mount of Mad Everest. He wants to be seen in a good light. Once Gertrude dies, Laertes and Hamlet end up swapping swords in their tussle, and he strikes him, poisoning Laertes as well, who reveals in his dying breath that Claudius set this whole thing up, poisoning them all. Hamlet goes over and takes the cup where his mother drank from, forcing the poison in Claudius, and he dies. Laertes soon follows after. In his final moments, Hamlet tells Horatio that this is ironic since he finally gets what he wants, both his demise and the demise of Claudius, but also notes that death is strict in his arrest, as he now got what he achieved is when he meets a sweat then, despite probing death over and over beforehand. Hamlet passes and Fortinbras arrives, seeing the tragedy that has befallen Denmark, and notes that seeing them all in such a sight becomes the battlefield, which seems fitting. A battle of the mind and wit hit Denmark. Some became mad, some acted mad, and many were caught in the crossfire in this psychological battle of deceit and manipulation, which ended up bloodier than any of the goriest or bloodiest battles Fortinbras has probably seen.